Young Reporters Disclaimer. Before we get started, a quick note. The views and opinions you'll hear on the Young Reporters are just those of the producers, our guests, and our friends, and don't represent the policies or official views of the Orin Edson Entrepreneurship plus Innovation Institute. And remember, the Young Reporters podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
Matchmaker Communications 101, in collaboration with Arizona State University's Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute, presents The Young Reporters. The Young Reporters chase down ordinary people doing amazing things in the greater Phoenix community and beyond. These inner-city young journalists take their classroom on the air, a class about ethics, commitment, loyalty, and teamwork. When you're on The Young Reporters, be prepared to talk about things you never expected. And now, let's go into the classroom.
Welcome back to The Young Reporters, the older version of The Young Reporters. I would be remiss if I didn't mention two people who are largely responsible for this opportunity. And one of them is Kelly Randall, who was one of my school principals for many years. And Kelly has gone on to be back to one of her original roots, which is being a businesswoman. And Kelly is very Hollywood involved. Her and her husband are very involved in sort of the kind of the startup central version of setting up stages for big events. Her husband, Travis Randall, has a long history of doing rock concerts and things like that. But in particular, he got to the point where he's still doing all the red carpet events for Disney out in Los Angeles. And so Kelly's went from being a school principal to devoting most of her time to helping her husband run that business. And that's one of the reasons Kelly can't be here today. She's got a lot of business conflicting schedule. But so on the one side is Kelly, who introduced me a year ago. We're almost on the anniversary here, Ellen. A year ago, she said, I think I've got the answer to our getting back on the air and getting an opportunity for working with something big where we can get back to doing the Young Reporters like we used to do it. And so she called up her friend Kim Reynolds, who used to be a teacher in one of the schools that Kelly worked at. And Kim is now the a program manager for Invention, I'll get this right one of these days, Invention Convention, Arizona. And she's also like on the R&D form of that whole venture with K through 12 kids. And so Kim couldn't be here today because she's so busy setting up for their next Invention Convention. And that's the part I'm remiss on, is that's coming up on March 28th. And she would love for anybody and everybody to come and participate in the Invention Convention, where K through 12 kids set up with all their creative inventions. And then they basically compete for the national event that takes place out at Dearborn, Michigan at the Henry Ford Museum. I think that comes up in June, if I'm not mistaken. They have a college equivalent here that is also, it's kind of like the Shark Tank type of thing. And I was here for both those, the little kids and the older kids. And so they, right in this building here, the Sky Song, they set up competitions with people like what you'd be dealing with, Bella, at Startup Central. Young people with creative ideas that came out of their garage. They might be students with ideas, but they do a Shark Tank type of competition where they have judges judging all their presentations. They do maybe 5-minute presentations and 5-minute questions and answers, and it's like boom, 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 they're going through it. So I was able to see that last year. It's amazing. It's really an interesting process. And I think, Alan, didn't you tell me they're doing it at the Memorial Union on the main campus?
Yes, it'll be on the second floor of the MU building, which is the Memorial Union. And when I was in college here, I'd be coming from the music department. I'd take a break. I'd go up there, get some food, and then I'd go take a nap under the piano in the quiet room there. So it's going to be going back to my early days here.
We were just wandering around the hallways looking for a snack, right, Bella? We couldn't find a snack anywhere, right? So.
I wish I knew that, because there's a place right down the way here that's a little restaurant.
Okay, is it a little cafe?
Yeah.
One of the people we asked mentioned that, and I think I might swing by there when I'm done here.
This is all.
Make a stop.
I'll run there right now and get it.
Here, yeah, this is really like this is all discovery. We've been involved with this ASU.
Courtney can run the equipment. I'll go get her food.
Great idea. So
It's been a minute.
yeah, Brittany could do that. I'm sorry, Courtney. Excuse me, Courtney Balson. You're getting me confused. Here. Courtney Balson Kelly was our studio production person at KFNX 1100 AM. One of the great things about these are like memory stuff. We had a wild experience at KFNX for many years. We had 9 years at KFNX, and Courtney came in there probably about the last 2 or 3 years we were doing that, I think. And Courtney was the sanest person we dealt with there probably ever. I mean, we had some, oh yeah, there's no question. It was night and day. And Steve Sturkenberg, great guy. I'm in touch with Steve every once in a while too. And so yeah, he's a great guy. And so, but we went through, I mean, we were bringing students in the studio, and originally you could tell they weren't really happy having kids in the studio. And we were bringing like 8 kids in the studios. You know, Courtney, you saw what we were like. And the kids were great, and they were polite, and they were well behaved, and they were the poorest kids in the community. And the station just couldn't get over the idea that this didn't fit the image of a radio show.
Yes, I can't get through this segment without saying, do you remember when I would say something on air, and then as soon as the red light would come off, he'd get in my grill, and he'd say, don't ever say that on the air, you know.
Yeah, I always had to be Ellen's filter. But Ellen, that was on the adult show. So we had a lot of it. So you saw all this stuff, Courtney. You had.
Oh, I saw all sorts of things.
Yeah,
at
you probably did.
It was an interesting time. Yeah.
And I want to one of these days I want to get in touch with Fly Daddy, who I think was the crypto guy, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was his name, Fly Daddy, I think. And then there's Steve Cates, Dr. Sky.
Oh yes, very familiar.
You guys probably don't know these people, but we're just doing some memory visiting here. But let's get back to our guests in the studio.
And then.
Yeah, go ahead.
I ended up producing 4 shows for Dr. Sky.
Did you really?
I did.
He's back in our world again. So yeah, yeah.
You know what's interesting about that is, I bought my first house over in the Estrella area in Goodyear, and there's a fixture. It's called the Star Tower, and I was reading about it, and it was designed by Steve.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Steve
Dr.
Pace
Sky.
Like, he's kind of involved in everything and anything.
Wait a second, I don't remember getting the call for me to help you buy your house, though.
Sorry.
One of my best memories about Steve Cates, who is known as Dr. Sky, who's been on the media a lot for years and years.
Yes.
I just remember that he would take a piece of paper and he would burn it by the light that came through a telescope or something like that. It was really weird stuff, but that was part of his routine. We have in the studio with us, we have Alan Ripa, who is doing all our tech for us, and Alan is a multi-talented guy who's a musician, a smooth jazz guy for many years. He's currently Yes, dear, Alan. Go ahead.
I did the smooth jazz, but this album I just recorded is all more like movie music and more. It's all orchestrated, so it's a different style.
It's got a little bit more romance to it, or something, or what?
A lot.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I love the strings and.
He's a great orchestrator. Alan, during the COVID, when everything was shut down, Alan reached out to musicians all around the world and was long distance sending them stuff to perform on their various instruments, and Alan was long distance composing this music without ever being in person with people. It's pretty amazing.
I can't imagine the people I worked with around the world to get them into a studio, actually, to be able to fly them in at a certain time and all. I don't know how I could have put all this together without that pandemic, because everybody was forced to be, in their residence, pretty much couldn't go to a studio.
Well, that takes us back to the young ladies in the studio. So the question I asked at the tail end of the last show, let me go back to that right now. So Bella and Courtney, you guys grew up in the world of digital media, or the coming age of digital media, and the pre-AI and all that, but you guys have grown up with technology pretty much all your life. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't. Myself and John and Alan, we grew up in a different era. And so Cal took us in the direction of the business aspects of digital media, which is part of what you're doing with your jobs, is using digital media to reach your audiences. But there's a move back on the personal end that there's a missing. Well, first of all, the damage to some extent, say, the social media has done to self-esteem across a wide spectrum of people, where you can now be bullied by an entire school to the point where you might commit suicide if you are too beat up. And so, back to you guys growing up in that environment. Were you always fully into social media and stuff like that because you grew up with it? Or did you find yourselves pulling back from it at any point? What's your experience been with that? Let's start with you, Bella.
I think I got an Instagram account when I was 9 years old. So that's social media at that aspect.
If you were in Australia, that wouldn't be allowed now, right?
Yeah. I saw that recent ban. It's very interesting to see, and I wonder if...
So since 9 years old, have you been steadily living in that world then?
Yeah, kind of intermittently. What's funny is now, as I've gotten older, I don't really use it personally as much, social media. Like I follow a couple people, I'll check it every now and then. It's ironic though, because it's my job. Like, I do it professionally.
So when you're following somebody, what is it? This is like me. What is it that you're following? What got you attracted to? What got you committed to following somebody?
Well, with my friends, it's just I'd like to see what everyone's up to, where they're going, what they're doing. If it's an account sometimes I follow brands because I'm interested in certain products. Sometimes I follow them for inspiration. I like their marketing. I like their design. And then, some pages it'll just be like a laugh. Yeah.
Just for that. Courtney, real quick, we got about a minute left in the segment. What got you? Have you always been involved in?
I was a little older, but around the same age. Still a child when I started with social media and growing up with digital media, and now I work in digital media essentially.
Is it fun for you guys to be working in that?
I love it, but of course, sometimes I do think if I wasn't working in this space, would I even have an Instagram account?
So it's useful to you from a business standpoint, at the very least, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We're about to end this segment, so we'll get into more of this detail as we get into our next segment. We are the older version, Young Reporters. We've got Bella Dorch, Courtney Balsam-Kelly, John Dacey, Alan Ripa, and me, I'm Bob Fishman. We'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome back to the Young Reporters. I'm your host, Bella Dorch. I'm joined in the studio today by Bob Fishman, Alan Ripa, Courtney Balsam-Kelly, and John Dacey. We're so grateful to be gathered here today. Now, I do have a couple questions for my guests. John and Courtney, I would love to hear, in your own experiences, what your day-to-day work is like at your jobs and what kind of drew you to the current positions that you're in.
Yeah, sure. Great question. Yeah, so day to day, every day is different. We work on email journeys. If somebody logs on to, law.asu.edu and they fill out an interest form, we're working on behind the scenes, scheduling emails out, telling our stories. We post on social media. We try to bring visibility to our students, to the mission. And just like you mentioned earlier that you wanted to go into journalism. So did I. I started out as a reporter for a local newspaper, and I loved it so much. But like the industry is moving, that was a really interesting time at that point because it was moving digitally, because it was a once a week physical print newspaper, but they were bought and then they had let everyone go. And then from there is where I got the opportunity at the radio station. So I actually didn't find myself originally there. And funny enough, at the radio station, I met Ray Shea, who is the publisher of the Phoenix Business Journal. And so I had an opportunity there. So that's how I left the radio station. But yeah, I love
great stories. I didn't know all this.
Yeah.
Great question, Bella. You wanted the same thing from John as well.
Yes, and then Alan as well. Yeah, I'd love to hear from all of you. Yeah.
So I don't
Just as long as you don't have to talk, right?
Right, yeah. Keep it away from my mic.
Right.
No.
I don't know if I have a typical day right now. I'm working from home exclusively now.
And working at what, John?
Working from home.
Doing what, though? We're refreshing from the first show.
Nonprofit, Abolish Private Prisons, so it's a public interest law firm. And much of my day is spent either reading, doing research, or participating in online conference calls. So yesterday is a good example. So I belong to the Anti-Slavery National Network, so that includes people from all around the country who are working on, in part, marketing. So it's how do we develop a message around ending slavery in the United States. We think it has ended with the Civil War and the 13th Amendment. It hasn't. That there's a longer explanation to that. And so part of what this coalition does is let's go through the case law. Let's go through the audiences we want to talk to. Let's go through the policy changes we want to see happen. And so it's a fleshing out with a lot of different points of view in the conversation. So that's not an unusual day for me right now.
Are you mostly talking like human trafficking area of slavery or something even more basic than that?
It's more basic than that. So the 13th Amendment was one of the Civil War amendments to the U.S. Constitution, and it says, slavery and involuntary servitude shall not exist in the United States except as punishment for crime following conviction. So there are some states that, because of this network's advocacy, that have amended their state constitutions to take out that punishment clause exception from their
Boy, I wouldn't have
state
known that they
constitutions.
even existed still. I didn't realize that some states were still.
And there's also an effort at the national level to get Congress to amend, to refer to the 50 states, an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to take out that punishment clause exception. So that's part of what we do now in terms of policy work.
And Bella, you were asking.
And
sorry, yeah.
It's really changed for me. I'm of that generation that wants to meet with people in person. And
okay.
COVID changed that dramatically, including my ability to meet with anyone in prison.
So you really have had to adapt to the changes, if no for no other reason than COVID forced some of it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bella, your question, look what it's triggered already. And I love that. So Alan, I think she wanted to find out your typical day. That's going to be a riot to hear that one too.
I don't have a typical day. It's always different. It's I do a few different things, and so it's just what I get asked to help somebody with.
So what are the because we're on show number 2 with this group. What are the typical things that your day is? Some of those typical things.
Well, so I do real estate, and so I've been doing putting together commercials with the AI to start running those, and then these businesses are hiring me to do promotional videos for them. And so I did this gal that had the product, and then I have a stone company that has me doing a project for them. And so I'm taking on that, and then like I had a week where I had to paint an airplane out at Falcon Field. I had to do a commercial, and then I had to put a fuel pump system into a gas tank. Not my favorite job, by the way, but I had to do that. So it's just because I do a lot of different things. I get asked to do a lot of stuff. People know that I do it and they need help with it. It's like, okay, I don't do all the stuff, but a lot of it I enjoy. And the creative side is real big. Anything that's creative is right up my alley. And then I got the music that I'm promoting and stuff. So.
Bella and Courtney, let me flip that kind of thing back at you guys from the standpoint of, so your world is probably, like Bella, I know you're in like your third or fourth opportunity to use your skill sets. And so is that the pattern? And same thing with you, Courtney. The pattern is that you're entrepreneurial out of who you are or out of necessity, that there might be short-term expectations about what you're doing and how long you're going to be doing it. Is that kind of the mindset in a way? Or do you have a more permanent, like Courtney, you may have more of a permanent vision in that now you're dealing with a major institution like ASU, whereas, and I don't know if that's any different from you, Bella, where you've been this is what, your third company that you've been involved with since you graduated, and it's got to be a lot of fun. It's very interesting. You're learning a lot of stuff. But is there an expectation about what your employment life's going to be like?
I would say throughout, I mean, the goal is always stability, right? So anytime I join anywhere, I'm like, okay, I want to be here for a long time. And another thing I approach it with is I want to learn as much as I can. So at each of these different jobs, I feel like I've picked up little tools along the way, and I've gotten the opportunity to test out different stuff. Like now I'm doing email marketing, which I hadn't done for any other companies, but working on newsletters. And so I always kind of approach every opportunity like, I don't know how long this is going to be. I'm going to act like it's a full commitment, though, and that it's something long-term, and make the most of it and just learn and save and see who I can connect with. Yeah. And Courtney, I'd love to hear your take on that as well.
Yeah. Communications is necessary, even though people may not know what it is, but every business, every government agency has a role for a communicator. Sometimes it is a director of communications. Sometimes it's called, public information officer. Sometimes it could be a marketer, but these roles are everywhere. So it is a long-term career for anyone really interested, going from a journalist into that. Yeah.
So it might be a long-term career of your skill sets, not necessarily with the same person for a long time, or is that part of what you're saying?
Either or. I think in communications you have a lot more job stability than you do, say, as a journalist, when you really think about it. You're here to help brand an entity. And you just have to stay in the know of the new technologies, the new innovations, the new strategies to help you still be employable.
And Bella, with something like Startup Central, where it's, purely entrepreneurial, it seems like. So you're a key player on the team. I would assume that their vision is long term if everything works out. So it's like you're almost like being part of a startup in Silicon Valley to some extent, and there's some really big potential in that for, like you say, stability in many different forms, whether it's the fun of the job or the financials or whatever. I assume that might be part. Is that how you make a judgment in terms of your moves?
Yeah, I would say the quality of the work that I'm doing and the opportunities I'm given, that's one aspect. Am I enjoying it? Am I having fun? Am I, I don't want to get into a position and then feel like maybe there's not as much work for me to do, or maybe it's like not really as important to the brand. So Startup Central has been an excellent opportunity on that front. I actually sometimes I'm looking forward to going into work, which is kind of a crazy concept for me. And then on the other hand, the people and the team.
And how did you find them, by the way? How did they
find you?
them?
Either way, yeah.
I found them on, they had a job posting for social media manager on LinkedIn.
Oh.
Yeah, I use LinkedIn all the time.
Social media.
I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And
I saw Courtney.
And so LinkedIn is a valuable asset. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we're down to our last minute of the segment now, is that right? Okay,
yeah.
Good. I love your perspective on this stuff. And probably going through some of the experience, like going through the newspapers that exist today, and all of a sudden everybody's fired. Mm-hmm. Probably experiencing that probably is a good warning signal, I suppose, in terms of what you might have to deal with.
I just saw Jack, what's his name? He did Twitter. Jack
Dorsey.
Dorsey just fired 4,000 of his employees, and he said the headline was "Welcome to AI. You just lost your job," and he fired 4,000 of his staff.
So that's kind of a little bit cruel of a statement, but one of the wonderful people we had in the studio 2 weeks ago probably worked with Jack Dorsey. I think Clay probably was working under Jack Dorsey at some point in his career. So we are the Young Reporters. We will be back shortly with our next segment, and stay with us. We're having a lot of fun.
And welcome back to the Young Reporters. But as Bob likes to say, the older version of the Young Reporters, although not too old.
We're getting younger with you guys.
Right? Yeah. No, we're all young here. I'm Courtney Kelly, and I'm joined by Bob, Alan, Bella, and John. So to kick us off, I have a question. I know we were talking a lot about digital media and what it was like for us to grow up with a digital space. What was it like for you guys to grow up in not a digital space? Like, how did you went to an office without a computer, maybe? Like, what did you do without a phone and a computer?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right?
That's really good, because I remember the transition of when I was in college here. I was doing jingles and TV commercials, but we had to rent a studio, Channel 5. We would go to their Channel 3. We had to rent that facility in order to get that equipment and be able to do the spot, whether we did it in the studio or it was on location. I remember we did a commercial for a transmission shop, and we had to block off down 7th Street or something. We had the cops out and everything. It was really quite a production for kids out there, telling, the city of Phoenix, we got to shoot this commercial here. But when I heard that computers were getting to where they could process video, because it was so much information, then I got really excited. And then I had a client that purchased an airplane over in France, a Cicada TBM 850. And anyway, he flew it here. So I went and took pictures, and I assembled that pictures in an iMac. And I just put the stills together to make like a little presentation, and I put the music and stuff, and then we watched it in their theater. And they looked at me and they said, wow, you got to do this for real estate. And that's when I started. So that was 2006 when I started doing videos for real estate.
But Alan, you're missing kind of the point of the question, which is like, you're talking like today. Back when
No. This is 2006.
I know that. That's like today. What I'm saying is, back when you were born, we had days. Nobody had. You had the dial phones when we were young, so nobody had a movable phone. You had a phone booth. I still wonder how like when I was starting my business career, if all of a sudden I got in a traffic jam, you couldn't call somebody and say I'm running late. If you saw a phone booth, maybe you could do it, but it would make you later or whatever. So it's like, our world was so primitive compared. And so when we were kids, our world was that the parents, you wake up, you'd have breakfast, and then you'd go out and play all day, and you would never see your parent until 6 o'clock that day when it got dark. And the parents weren't helicoptering, so we never experienced. We were always out. There was nobody kidnapping anybody. So we're pretty old in that respect. So
this is so funny, is because when you say technology in the early days, I'm thinking of dial-up. That was in '94, and you had the dial-up.
You're talking dial-up on a computer, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Your whole life has become very digital. So, in answer to your question, and John, I don't know, because you had so you're in the ballpark of a little bit older like myself. So, what was your growing up experience?
Well, it was this basic. So growing up in Phoenix, there really was one newspaper, and so you had one family that really controlled the way that information was presented to the public, whether you liked it or not. I delivered that newspaper to houses.
I was a paper boy myself, too.
But,
so.
Me too.
The kinds of rituals, the Sunday newspaper, sitting around coffee with my parents, my grandparents, it'd be a battle between me, my grandfather, and my dad, who has the sports page. Because
you had different sections of the paper, and the kids who wanted the
and
you wanted
if
the
you
sports,
didn't have
right?
a sports page, there was no terminal to go to. And the same thing with television. There were 3 stations in Phoenix.
You had to get up and walk to the TV to change the channel on the original TVs.
If you didn't like what was on, you couldn't go into another room. Nobody had 2 TVs.
We didn't have 2 TVs.
Yeah.
What about the rabbit? You had to turn the rabbit ears.
Oh yeah,
right?
we had antennas sitting on the TV. So we are very ancient compared to your world. And so your world is like a shock to us when it started to transition, and for you guys it was totally normal. And so we grew up having to talk to our aunts and uncles whether we wanted to or not. And you guys, I think, have had, again, it's a different growing, and I guess you can only relate to what you grew up with, I suppose. So,
yeah.
So as you are maturing into life, and as you both have sort of said, you're not as prone to follow people on social media, for example, or something like that. and so you're finding more value in face-to-face from a personal standpoint, maybe not from a job standpoint, right? Because you have to be doing this digital stuff for your career, I suppose, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest pro is actually also one of the biggest cons, and it's that you're just always connected. You can, post something, and then you can have thousands of people see it at that given second. But at the same time, then you're always here refreshing your feed on the receiving end of it.
And now, do both you guys have followings?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a large following, but a following in general.
What's the number of your following in general? How many people follow you, Courtney, Kelly, on the computer or whatever? How many people follow you? Do you know?
I mean, across platforms, if we're saying probably collectively like 5,000 people.
Wow. Bella,
but that's not very much.
Bella, how many people?
No, you got more than me. I'm like 2,000.
Oh my goodness. So how do you respond? I mean, you're doing mass responses, I suppose. How do you respond to all of a sudden 2,000 or 5,000 people are coming at you because they love what you do or they're interested in what you do? How do you not stay connected? It's got to be very hard to withdraw from that.
Oh, it's extremely hard to withdraw from that. But it's not necessarily people reaching out to you. It's just people living their lives, talking about their lives, and then engaging with you every so often.
And you feel obligated to participate, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a form of respect, too, because if you leave someone on red, that's kind of rude.
Leave someone on red?
Yeah.
Red is like when you're not connected, or what? What is?
I have no trouble at all leaving my cell phone in my car.
No, it's ghosted. Getting ghosted is the worst, I tell you.
But what?
Do you have experience getting ghosted?
Oh, heck yeah. Are you kidding?
Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, tell them about it. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm serious. So I might tell her,
Be careful what you say, by the way. Be careful what you say.
Sorry it didn't work out, but I got a great song out of it. So I get ghosted, I get a new song. So I can't be too critical about this new technology.
So you're using your digital disappointing life to make music. That's great. I love that concept.
Well, you got to get inspiration somewhere, and what a great way is to get ghosted. Everything was going so good, and then gone.
We didn't have.
Sorry, Alan.
We didn't. The idea of ghosting. I mean, that's me. I learned that word maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago at the most. I'm stunned that people take jobs and then don't show up on day one. That's ghosting, right? That is ghosting.
It's a form of it, yeah.
So Alan is still being ghosted.
I have a different word for that.
You have a different word for that? What is?
Not showing up for work?
That's what your way of saying it is, not showing up for work. It's a good way to lose your job, right? That's one way. But so anyway, so as you guys relate to older people around you, are we relatable at all to you, or are we like foreigners in a way?
I think you're very relatable.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like social stuff is not, and that's not the main thing I think in any of our lives. Like that's what we work in, right? But there's so much more to what we do in our everyday life and to our conversations, and kind of touching on that like face to face. Like I didn't even meet you. I didn't meet you online or anything.
No,
like you came to my office, and then I was like, "Oh, there's someone here." I wasn't really sure who it was because no one had told me.
She responded to me knocking on a window and knocking on a door and dodging the dogs, basically thinking they're going to. So Bella is great. Bella is very personable, and Bella lives kind of like the old style of life, where she actually went looking for me knocking on the door or something, which is really nice of you. I can't thank you enough.
I just caught you. You were like getting in your car. I was like, oh my.
I was killing time for a while.
I went out to the parking lot. I was like, that's Scott. That was the guy.
I was catching up my digital media at the time because I had nothing else to do, hoping that somebody would show up eventually. It was really kind of funny. And it further connected me, Alan. It further connected me to the world of what's your company's name again?
Startup Central.
That was the day that I wanted me to go, and I couldn't go.
Yes, it was that day, and it was great. That's how I met Bella. And if everything had worked out right, I might not have met Bella. So what a bonus.
What was I doing that I couldn't go?
I think you're being ghosted by one of your friends.
No, I had to go to Salome.
Oh, that's right. You had to drive.
go.
What was the Salome trip about? You had to film something, right?
Yeah, because my buddy has a couple houses out there. It's an airport community, so there's like 96, I believe, homes, and they have hangars. So you fly in, and then you pull into your garage on your house. It's really cool. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but I saw cows, which I haven't seen in a long time. I went by all kinds of like John Deere tractors, green.
Sometimes we have in our second show, sometime in the third or fourth segment, all of a sudden we get talking about cows, which is not really the show, Alan, but that's okay. So John, I want to get...
Anyway, I went out there he has a P-51 Mustang, and I was going to watch that fly. So when I got there, he said there was a problem with one of the magnetos, wasn't able to fly that airplane, so he flew the Bamboo bomber. And I have been in that airplane and flown it.
Did you fly with him that day then, or what?
No, I didn't get there in time. I got some video and stuff, and that was about it. And then I headed back. It was 2.5 hours.
So you missed the opportunity to meet Bella that day. So that's what happened. So
I know. It's like Heartbreak Hotel.
So let me go back to John for 1 second. So John, first of all, I take
excuse me.
Yes, sir.
1 minute.
Oh, good.
We're already over, but 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, we won't be going very long with this. So, John, I love the fact that Bella said I'm relatable. That was really nice. We've gotten some compliments on the show that are kind of funny. Maybe the next segment will start. So, John, you are very relatable to our young people in the studio because you've adapted to the digital world, apparently. You've done a really nice job of adapting.
It's funny. We're about to launch a social media campaign, and we have a podcast on our website, and we also try to scale our work through digital media as well. So
now there's a phrase. I know what scaling is. I'm not through.
All these things.
So you're having to learn all.
Didn't have anything to do with practicing.
So maybe you'll work with Courtney and Bella since they're so digital. You never know what that could be. We are the older version of Young Reporters. Bob Fishman, along with a wonderful crew of guests in the studio. We'll be right back after this short break. I think we have one more segment. Stay with us.
This is the senior citizen segment, if you will. I'm John Dacey. I'm sitting here with Courtney Balson-Kelly, with Bella Dortch, Alan Ripa, and Bob Fishman. And let's kick this segment off with a question to Courtney.
Okay.
Courtney, the ASU Law School, what programs or efforts, if any, do they have at this point that deal with actually improving the legal system itself?
That's a great question. So we actually recently launched our first online part-time JD degree.
I was reading about that. That is really interesting. So yes, definitely talk about that.
Yeah. So normally, for context, a JD degree is 3 years. In person. You're not even allowed to have a job your first year because it's so intense. But we took that model and built upon the number one in innovation that ASU is known for and their online education model that's already so great, and brought our JD degree online. And it's mission-based. It's to help be more focused on public service and addressing legal deserts. So we actually don't have enough lawyers in this country, much less the state, to fulfill all the legal needs.
So what are some of the legal deserts, when you talk about legal deserts, for example?
Yeah, so when you think of like places like Flagstaff, Yavapai County, these areas that don't have enough lawyers for people to find their basic legal work. And so we're bringing our education online to help people who are already rooted in their communities stay in those communities instead of having to drive. Because we do have students who drive 2 hours from Prescott to come down and be in our in-person program where now they can be online. So we're making a legal education more accessible to help bring more justice in these communities.
And to me, this sounds kind of like a Startup Central thing, even though Startup Central is manufacturing primarily, I think. But when I read about your this new JD program for people who maybe are just parenting, or people who are doing other things, they don't they can't devote all the time, continuously,
Right.
that might be required. This is providing a way, and because you are such a large online university, you have students from all around the country, if not all around the world. I mean, you're a large school, just physically people coming to the school itself, but your online thing is a major presence. So the fact that you guys are doing this means that it expands the reach of law in general. If more people are able to pursue the law because they think they can't because they're too busy.
Absolutely. It's for people who never thought a legal education was in the stars for them. And we did have our students just start this. So our first cohort started in January, and we have around 30 students from across the nation and in Arizona, of course, who, are from these small cities. We have someone from Powderly, Texas, and he's like, I think I'm the only one who's ever gone to law school in this.
That's got to be so amazing to be part of that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what these students do.
Does it permit part-time?
Yeah, it's part-time and online. Mm-hmm.
Bella, relating to and again, since we're in our last segment, things that you see going forward, and I keep this open to all of our guests, but Bella, your vision of Startup Central, your contribution to it, it seems to me like you have a lot of potential equivalence to what Courtney just talked about. People who had never thought that they could do something, and now Startup Central will give them the ability to do that something. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we are really dedicated to eliminating barriers for people who have ideas, projects, companies they want to start, everything like that. That's why we provide access to our manufacturing floor. That's why we make our team is always available. They're always around to help you out if you have any questions. One thing that I'm really excited about in the new space is we have childcare planned. So for anyone who is a parent and they have a kid and they were worried maybe they wouldn't be able to make building at that level work, it's an option for them. And I think that's really exciting. It's good to see that the whole team is dedicated to that same degree of making things possible for people.
Okay, you're just giving that look on the, okay, there we go. I love the look. But so basically, if again, it's really to address to Courtney and Bella, if you were in your current positions 10 years from now or 25 years from now, what kinds of things would you think that your vision, how would you fulfill your vision of where things should be if you were in the same position 10 years down the road? What would be your major contribution to that, aside from getting the message out? What more from a mission standpoint are you guys looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, at its most basic level, it's just telling people stories. And the way that we will do that will evolve, just like it has evolved these last 10, 20 years. It'll continue to do that. But at its core, it's still telling people stories, making a difference in their lives and other people's lives who read those stories, and, inspiring people at the end of the day.
And so when you get stories like this entrepreneurial lawyer possibility for people who never thought they could pursue it, that's got to be a whole big category of inspiring stories, potentially.
Oh, absolutely. We've done student profiles. We're doing some social media features, but we're letting them get more acclimated to the program first because it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bella, same thing with you. As you picture you're at the upper echelons of your company at a very young age. If your influence on your partners, what do you think that's going to be? What would you like it to be?
Yeah, I would say I'd like to bring in more young people, do more outreach, continue to reach out to students and empower them and show them that they're sort of professionally, they're incredibly valued and they bring different perspectives to the table, each and every individual. And that's something that I plan on doing actually moving forward, is planning events, hoping to partner with other schools in the area like ASU, maybe a couple other campuses, some of the community colleges around. I think we have a lot of really great resources, and we have a lot of really, really knowledgeable, but also very kind people. So I hope that.
What are the kind of partnerships you're thinking about specifically in terms of that? What kinds of things are you looking at?
I think engineers and anyone, for example, someone here at the Edson Institute, just bringing them in and giving them free access to our floor on certain days, giving them complete control over what they want to do, and maybe providing materials for them to build stuff, and potentially running like some sort of little event, maybe a competition.
Well, one of my interests, and this kind of started with the guys being in the studio the other day, 2 weeks ago, but also meeting Bella, and she walked me around their current facility, is the idea that we want to team up with anybody that wants to do stuff like this to make things. I use the Google expression of we want to move fast and fix things. We don't want to move fast and break things. We want to move fast and fix things. And so you guys are in that same world of moving fast and doing positive things for. You're not looking to destroy stuff. You're looking to build things up. And so we want to partner with anybody that's doing like that. So with this partner, I'll use the word collaboration because that's the word ASU likes. But with the collaboration thing of this, and so we're looking to add more things to what we can do with using communication as a way to get the word out, to connect people up faster with more intention, and not get stuck in the bureaucracy of status quo. And so that's kind of that's one of the reasons why you're all in the studio here today. What John is doing, what he's on hold from right now, his cause-driven thing. And John, you've always been kind of cause-driven, it seems like, in your law career. You were primarily helping not the wealthiest people in the world necessarily. Can you describe your early career?
My first 12 years, I worked for legal aid and public interest nonprofit firms, and so the people I worked with were either people in poverty or with serious disabilities. And so, we focused on not just direct service, but also systems change work, which is what I'm doing now. So just to give you one example, if I could. So one of our projects right now is working with the American Bar Association to address the fact that the great majority of state pension retirement funds are invested in private for-profit prisons, and that includes the retirement pensions of prosecutors, police, judges, and public defenders.
Whether they know it or not.
And
okay.
Most of them, I would assume, do not, but the system does.
And so you think that that's not necessarily the best use of investing funds? Is that?
I don't think it's kosher at all.
Okay. Yeah. So this is why. Listen, we want to get everybody who's got a greater good in mind, whatever that might be. We got to get the world back to having conversations with each other. There are fabulous people on all sides of the political spectrum, and nothing will get accomplished if people are yelling at each other all the time. We have to have things like this because we don't know our politics sitting here in the studio today. We just know that we're up for a conversation and we're up for connecting people up to teaming up to do whatever it is they want to do. And so we were relating it to the conversation we had earlier. Our old life, we grew up in a world where the world was kind of structured with the idea that you didn't dislike people instantly once you heard an opinion. People would have conversation. We need to get back to that. That's as political as I'm going to get today. We are the Young Reporters, the older version with some nice new young talent. We've had 2 wonderful shows with this group. I want to thank all of our guests, Bella and Courtney and John, and I'm Bob, and there's Alan. We've had a great time. We miss Kim Reynolds, who's usually with us. We miss Kelly Randall, who helped make this opportunity possible. Join us again to our next podcast. Thank you very much for being with us.